Hello and welcome to Dateline Lagos on Channels Television. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Coming up on the program, Lagos holds Youth Symposium to mark one-year anniversary of EndSARS protests. Lagos hosts 10th National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development. And state government launches the LASHMA regulatory functions. The Lagos state government has reaffirmed its commitment to empower the teeming youth and create an enabling environment for them to thrive. This was announced by the state governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, at the Lagos Youth Symposium, which held at Blue Roof, Aginigbi, Ikeja, to mark the one-year anniversary of a massive protest against police brutality tagged EndSARS.
Youths dressed in different uniforms turned up in large numbers at the Blue Roof in Aginigbi, Ikeja, to be a part of the rebuilding process in the state after the massive destruction that followed the 2020 EndSARS protests. A year after the protest against police brutality, the Lagos state government holds a youth symposium to help the teeming population and the authorities stay on the same page in terms of development plans that will also help prevent a repeat of the incident.
The energy of our teeming youth population, their motivation and vision are essential assets for positive social change and peace. However, there is no society that exists without conflicts arising. What is more important is for us to anticipate and be clearly focused in the way we negotiate through those conflicts. But what we have observed is that the aftermath of a negative conflict is never beneficial to the individual, to the society or community, or the nation at large, and even globally.
Some words of encouragement from the youths to their peers.
EndSARS happened last year, but it won't happen again because now we are open to light. We now know what we want for our state because we know that if Lagos State is not suitable for us, we are the receiving hand. So we must all put our hands together. We must all work with Lagos State government to ensure that we build a greater Lagos. It is not by we just saying it. It is by we taking action.
A true leader is somebody who is enthusiastic, somebody who is energetic, who has taken the decision to keep pushing regardless of whatever the situation might be.
Then the keynote speaker, Professor Wahab Elias, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the Lagos State University, speaks on conflict resolution.
Nigeria is the 6th most populous country in the world, with about 215 population. Mr. Governor, sir, may I also state that of these 215 million, it will surprise you that more than half can be said to be youth in Nigeria. Unfortunately, these 250 million that you find in Nigeria, 50% of that population reside in Lagos. Meaning that if you see 250 Nigerians, at least minimum of close to 30 are Lagos residents. Meaning that if you meet every 20 Nigerians, at least 3 lives in Lagos. Meaning that in a state that is so small in terms of contiguity, in terms of size, Lagos is the smallest in Nigeria, yet it occupies close to 1/4 of the entire population that we have in Nigeria. To that extent, it is not possible that we will not see something like a conflict. Conflict is expected, but what is most important is peaceful resolution of such conflict. When you have conflict, it affects sustainability. Conflict also engender poverty. Once you have conflict, there will be poverty in the land. Poverty also creates kind of insecurity. Insecurity also brings about hostility. Now we know what we are going through in terms of insecurity. Meaning that there's no better time to weather the storm of conflict than now. Meaning that we must strive to make sure that we have a kind of peaceful conflict that will not bring about insecurity as we had last year, and that will not bring about hostility.
Afterwards, some panelists share their views on how to rebuild Lagos without leaving anyone behind.
if you look at the SDG 16 on Sustainable Developmental Goals, you realize that it's about peace, justice, and building strong institutes. And that's what it's talked about. But I would like to buttress on it. How then do we create solutions? Let's now take it back home. Remember, we have two types of young people. We have the formal youth and we have the informal youth. So in order to be able to attend to the needs of the informal youth, we need to create a desk, a resolutional desk, conflict resolutional and dispute desk in every local government at the grassroots level. We need to have a virtual responsive channel that young people can lay out their grievances and we can get response promptly for the upcoming generations that are about technology, about building the smart city agenda. And of course, we cannot leave our parents out of it, like I said. Our teachers need to continuously have trainings to back our parents up. So where our parent fails because they are not professionals, these teachers step in from the primary level to the secondary level to the tertiary level. And then we can begin to form the kind of youth that we hope to see that will be emerging leaders to build the agenda of Lagos State, the smart city agenda.
We need to continue to reorientate our police and our law agencies. Now, from the people's perspective, again, it is very sensitive, but it is all about trust. And true peace is not an act. It is when parties step up, admitting areas of wrong and making repairs. It's very simple. From the government's, from the people's eye, the people would need the government to own up and take ownership and responsibility when necessary.
Everything that has been discussed at the panel. Now, I might say they might probably have not had a solid outcome, but I'm going to say yes, they've made progress. It's important that we document that progress, and it is also important that we reevaluate it and agree on contingencies.
3 goals are for ourselves. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu acknowledges all the points raised, saying the voice of the youth will now be given priority in governance.
Indeed, the solution is about ensuring that education, health, the human capital, that we do not relax on it. I want to assure you, Sheung, I've taken a picture with you here to say that I know that you're a very cerebral person. Education and health are the two principal things that hit our budget the most. Year on year, we've continued to increase our spend on education and health. And so I take your point very seriously that human capital in health, in education is the way to go. And we need to have an open door. That's why I don't keep any door. I don't have any door, but I need to say that to all of my staff and ensure that government needs to have an open door policy. Let all of us be able to do a role play. Say to yourself, if I'm governor for one day, how will I behave? What will I do differently? I also should be able to say to Prof that if I'm professor in LASHMA for one day, what do I need? What do they need that I need to provide for them? So wherever conversations are going on, you do not want us to shave your head in your absence. Is that not so? You want to be in the room when decisions are being made. But I understand what you mean, that we need to do a lot more. We need to do a lot more engagement, and we need to continue to listen and make sure that the people we're building the future for, that we're building it and we're building it together.
October 2020 itself is a date that will never be forgotten by Nigerians. But in Lagos State, the government says it's time to turn a new page to work with the youth for a peaceful state.
Now let's turn our attention to housing development as part of efforts to reduce the housing deficit in Lagos. The state says it's working towards delivering 7,000 homes by the third quarter of 2022. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu gave this assurance at the 10th National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development, which was also attended by the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola.
So very much.
Members of the federal as well as the state's Ministry of Works and Housing are gathered in Lagos for the 10th National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development to strategize on how to provide affordable housing for Nigerians and reduce the deficit. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, leads the discussion on housing development and appeals to state governments to allocate land for federal government housing projects.
As you might know, The federal government is undertaking a national housing in all states. That initiative is delivering about 5,000 units of housing across the states, and we are also trying to complete an inherited ministerial pilot housing scheme driven by the Federal Mortgage Bank, which is also delivering a little over 6,000 units. We must all come together, the 36 states, the FCT, and federal government, to really unleash the powers and the possibilities for prosperity that lie in housing inclusion. And so these are the reasons why I seek to persuade all members of this council to go back to our states, to go and persuade our governors to recommit to housing development. And I said purposely, recommit. I say this because I am aware that several states are doing something or the other. But what we need now is scale, a massive rollout across Nigeria. One reason why this will require an all-of-government action is the fact that land itself, which is a critical component for capital formation, is controlled by the states, not by the federal government. And I am persuaded that appropriate, targeted, and purposeful use of land, such as for the development of housing by states and the private sector, will unleash prosperity in all the states that aggregates to national prosperity.
He also raises the issue of delay in acquiring building permits, land documentation, which frustrates developers and individual homeowners. He wants to see a change in the system.
I have had the privilege of being a member of a committee set up by President Buhari to facilitate the ease of doing business across Nigeria. Again, this is a national rather than a federal government business. One of the parameters where we need to improve, and I thought it is important to share that in this council, when they are rating Nigeria in terms of ease of doing business, one of the places that we have not done well, and many of us may not know this, those are some of the things that those who do the rating look at, is how long it takes to get a building permit. And I thought that we should discuss that here, so that we understand that we can contribute to improving the national rating just by reducing some of the steps, making the bureaucracy more efficient, if necessary, automating it, and reducing the number of people it has to pass through without compromising your individual state objectives.
Babajide Oreshola Saworo. Can you please applaud him more resoundingly?
Lagos State appears to be leading in the area of provision of housing schemes. For the state government, it's hoping to do more at affordable prices.
Our activities in the past 2.5 years has resulted modestly in the commissioning and delivery of many housing schemes spread all over the state. We're hopeful that by the end of the year, we'll have done about 2,400 units from completion and commissioning. And we're believing that 5 additional ones that will be commissioned before the end of the year at the Beshe, Odonosa, Agbowa, Shogotedo, and Bagada will give us a total of about 16 different schemes that we're commissioning in 2.5 years. I also must mention that work is at various advanced stages, at various projects that we're doing. We're doing a project at Tulu in Ajegunle. We're doing another one, Agility, in Agboike too. There's another one we're doing at the Kota and Ogombo in Etiosa. And we're working collaboratively with the private sector to develop housing units in Lupeju, in Ikeja. We're striving to go back to extensive regeneration and Adenija delay and a low-cost housing. We believe these are some of the prints that we need to change the face of Lagos. We believe that by the end of third quarter next year, we should have added over 7,000 new homes that will have been completed and will be handed over, to our citizens. So we're also working on developing new products, which will, like you said, which will purely be on a rental basis, right? Lagos is the culprits, where you have a lot of shallows and very hard landlords that want you, to go and bring 2 years rent, 3 years rent in advance, when you are earning your monthly pay in arrears. And so we're working, at developing a product where even with the private sector, we can ensure that they insist, at paying, monthly rent in arrears.
The latest project coming from the state government is a civil servants housing scheme in the Imota area of Ikorodu.
We've extensively given approval in that regard. We've identified land at Imota, and we're believing that on a phased basis, we could develop up to about 4,000 2-bedroom and in some cases 3-bedroom that will be targeted, at our civil servants, especially the low earners, in that whole bracket. So this has been identified at Imota. I've also given land to TUC and NLC, the Nigerian Labour Union and the TUC, the Trade Union Congress, just so that they also can bring their members, in a cluster, and they can start development, in the various parts of the state.
Deliberations from this meeting are expected to form policies and reform that will bring about urban renewal, job creation, and economic development across the country. From housing to healthcare delivery, this time the Lagos State government is enjoining all residents to embrace the state's health insurance scheme that will help to achieve universal health coverage. This was echoed at the launch of the regulatory function of the State Health Management Agency.
The health sector in Lagos State has been receiving more attention under the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, especially because of the situation created by the COVID-19 pandemic. Though a global pandemic, it has become an eye-opener on how to get things right in a sector that deals with life and death. One of the policies that's being pushed to the public constantly is the Lagos Health Insurance Scheme. With the unveiling of the scheme's regulatory functions, the state government is appealing to residents to key into this policy for better access to quality health care.
When Lagos State House of Assembly enacted the LSHS Law number 4/2015, which created the Lagos State Health Management Agency LASHMA and Lagos State Health Schemes LSHS, the primary objective was to ensure that all residents of Lagos State have access to affordable and qualitative health care services. Other benefits of the LHS include the reduction of out-of-pocket expenses on health care and limiting the rise in cost of health care services. The elimination of the hardship caused by families by the payment of huge medical bills, delivery of efficient as well as high standard health care services across all medical facilities in the state. LSHS law mandates that residents of Lagos State in both the public and private sectors are to be registered on the scheme by having a health plan purchased from HMOs and MHAs that have been licensed by the agency.
The aim is to make it easier for the Health Management Agency to achieve universal health coverage for all residents.
LASHMA will be working towards providing universal healthcare coverage in Lagos State. The first thing is to ensure that an egalitarian system is created where everyone has equitable access to quality healthcare systems. It is also to ensure that the out-of-pocket expenditure is reduced to the minimum. Right now, out-of-pocket expenditure ranges between 70 to 80%, both in the country and in Lagos State. What this does is that it exposes people to financial hardship and impoverishment, which further worsens their case. So the essence of LASHMA is to create a health financing mechanism that would assist in pre-pooling funds that will be used to purchase services through both private and public facilities.
Sensitization and awareness. People need to know that health insurance is mandatory in Lagos State. People need to know that health insurance is actually for their benefits, and there are loads of benefits to get from ensuring that you have health insurance cover for your family. People need to understand that insurance is not praying or longing for misfortune, it's saving for a rainy day.
The state health insurance policy gave birth to Ilera-Eko, and the commencement of the regulatory functions will allow stakeholders achieve the desired result.
We need to reach everybody because this is actually an integral part of the deliverables of Mr. Governor in Lagos State, and we need the support of the general populace to be able to believe in what we are doing.
LASHMA is the regulator in this industry in Lagos, and the role of the regulator is to operate a level playing field. On our part, we pledge to collaborate with the level playing field doctrine of LASHMA and to support the agency in the efforts to roll out this mandatory scheme for all Lagosians. One of the problems we had with the scheme at federal government level was that it was not made compulsory, so that a law that is not compulsory cannot be implemented easily.
General Manager of the State's Health Management Agency assures residents that the Ilera-Eko scheme will be expanded to cover critical health issues.
We were enhancing the current Ilera-Eko standard plan, so we are adding more things into that package simply because the actuarial analysis that we conducted told us that there is enough space to accommodate a few things under that plan. We are also coming up with what we call the Ilera-Eko Plus, and there will be, I think she mentioned in particular something to do with cancer, there will be a facility for there to be some level of payouts to a certain amount for some of the beneficiaries under either the Ilera-Eko standard or the Ilera-Eko plan. Those are going to be launched, packaged and launched into the public from the 1st of January 2022. You did mention something about general hospitals. I think the feedback that we get, because we have the 24-hour contact center, and the agency is very particular about constant capacity building and engagement with the providers, whether they're public or they're private, because there are standards that we hold them to, and those complaints are dealt with very strict and laid out guidelines with the facilities.
For now, only 500,000 residents of Lagos are registered under the Ilera-Eko Health Initiative out of over 20 million people, and the state government is calling on more individuals to take advantage of the healthcare plan and enjoy the benefits.
This is where we call it a day on this edition of Dateline Lagos. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Stay safe.